Hello folks, I'm TommyNC2010, and one thing you should know about me is I'm high-functioning autistic. I have a disability. So, this is called my life. Instead of drawing my life, I figured I'd just start from the beginning, and I was born in Orlando, Florida. And I was born with a disability. I was born high-functioning autistic. Now, when I was born, I was fully autistic. I could not function. I could not read or write. I could not function with my hands. My speaking was not that good. And I was adopted. My parents adopted me as a baby. The church approached my parents and said that Tommy is a special kid, a special child. Would you like to take him into your family? My parents gladly adopted me and took me into their family. I have a brother. I'm not going to mention his name, who he is. He's been in past videos. But I was born in Orlando, Florida. I went to multiple schools, and then I had to go to a special school called Summit Charter School. That school is not around because of certain legal issues with money and principals ripping off the school and stuff like that. So that school does not exist anymore if you go to look for it. Summit Charter School. It used to be a school. Now it's gone because of it went bankrupt. But I had multiple teachers. I'm going to say Mrs. L used to she taught me I started out through the years after I was born. I started out going to this school, and there was different things that happened, and that people did their best, and it's always been hard for me to learn how to read. It's been a struggle, uphill battle. Through my life, I've had to do so many things just to get through. One of my favorite things I used to love to do was when my grandfather and grandmother were still alive, I used to go up and see my grandmother and grandfather. My grandfather was a truck driver. His name was Gene Washburn. My grandmother was Ruth Washburn. And they're good people. They loved us deeply. My grandfather used to drive us everywhere around Orlando. It was boiling hot down there. That's where I'm originally from, is Orlando, Florida. And it's really insane. Martis Road was where I grew up on, and it was a dead-end street, and my house is actually still there. My old house is still there, and all sorts of awesome memories for me. I grew up there with my mom, my brother, and me, and we had an awesome time living on that street. I had so many friends that in Florida. I had knowing that is inevitable. My father was a native Floridian, and he was born and raised there with his mother, and sadly my father got tired of Florida, and so around mid-2000s, 2004, we left Florida, and we moved up here. It was one of the saddest moments, honestly, when you guys have had that experience where you've had to leave a house that you were born and raised in, and you walk around and you see this empty house, this empty building that you used to call home, and you leave it, and then you're like going somewhere new. It was like a sad moment for me, because at that point I was like, I didn't want to leave, but honestly, everything had gone away. I was leaving everything I knew. So we moved to North Carolina, and we didn't exactly move into my house that we live in now. We actually had to we actually lived in a hotel for a while, and then one day I just got a call from my mom saying, hey, the house is open now, we're gonna move in. And I went to Owen High School in the special ed department, and now I had another teacher, Mr. L. he taught me through the years, and I went through all sorts of crazy things in his class. One of the things I got hooked on was the Titanic, and I love studying the Titanic. It was a beautiful, it ended up in disaster, but it was just an amazing thing. And I'd also, if you see in my room sometimes, a fake horse on my wall. We did a thing on Nights on Horseback, and I got into it. We really got into it, and then my teacher was just like, "No, thank you. I'm not doing this anymore." Oh! That was kind of his reaction to the whole situation. Through that, I'm still trying to learn how to read, but it's not sinking in. One time, this is a joke, but actually, SH means shh, and I would say saha. And he was so flustered. He's sitting there, and he leaps at me, and he's like, "Tommy, shh!" And I'm like, "Shh, that's right, Tommy." He was very into teaching me, and it came to the time that everybody had to graduate from middle school, and he wanted to hold me back because he thought it would be better for me to put down my rating. But the principal said that she thought it'd be better for me to go to the high school because it'd be better to be around kids my age. After that, I went to high school, and it wasn't easy from there because I was still in the special ed department. It was interesting because the first time I go into high school, basically, I get this situation where this kid comes up and starts beating the snot out of this other kid, and it's just like this massive rumble, royal rumble, just this epic showdown of just bam, 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 and I'm just like, wow, and nothing happened. No one did anything about it. Now, so in that process, I'm going into high school. I'm a freshman, and I'm meeting people. I met my friend Halen through middle school. That was a crazy situation, how I met him. I said this on my broadcast page, but this is going live. This will be going to YouTube. But I'm saying people's names because I don't want to say. I'm saying people in their letters because I don't want to say their names so people get bothered. But the thing is that it's I've met so many people. I met a friend named he's not in my life anymore, but his name is Joey, and Joey was a good friend of mine. Joey was I don't know what he was because he was a strange individual. We hung out with him all the time in middle school, and then one day he lived in the department of for children that orphans, and then one day they came and got him, and then he disappeared off the face of the earth, and we never saw him again. I heard he ended up in an institution. I didn't really see Joey after that, and so through the years, I'm in high school, and I come across my Mr. N. Mr. M was my drama teacher. He was the one that gave me my tripod, the one I used for Tommy Talks and would use for different things to shoot for inspirational speeches. Mr. N, I came up to him and I said, "Sir, I would like to be your mentor." I didn't understand what the word mentor meant, but I'd like to be your mentee. Mentor. Oh no, he was my mentor and I was his mentee. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna hear it 1,000 times. "Tommy, this is how you properly say it. Thank you." That's all I have to say about that. But through that process, I had done several plays: Biederman and the Firebugs, Little Abner, and then swiftly after that, kind of was quiet. It was a dull moment, kind of quiet. Through that, I had met a few other people in my life. I met my friend Ashley. I met her in my drama class. You guys see her in the video. She taught me as a peer tutor, and she helped me with math. And I'm kind of good on numbers and stuff like that. Like $100 is 5 20s. I can tell you that. and you know, she did my math. She helped me with math skills. Through that process, I you know, met all sorts of people. It was an interesting time. I actually dated a girl. I dated multiple girls, actually. Well, I dated my friend Jenny. We went off and on. We broke up off and on, and we went through this process where we were dating from we were freshmen to where I was almost a senior, and this is gonna make me look like I'm a ass, okay? Because it was an ass of me to do, but I'll admit that. But I did it for a good reason. I broke up with Jenny. I broke up with her because it was getting to the point where, you know, when you are in a relationship, you're supposed to feel like you're in a relationship. Well, that wasn't the point. Jenny was treating me like garbage at school, not talking to me, not holding my hand, but talking to me all lovey-dovey on the phone. It was like, what? And so during that whole process, after me and Jenny are going back and forth on the phone, I get a phone call. It's from Ashley. I have an Ashley that is my cousin that lives in Florida, but I get a phone call saying, "Hey, Tommy, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Who? This is Ashley." I'm like, "Hey, Ashley, how's Florida?" And she's like, "Florida?" She's like, "This is Ashley, you dummy, from your peer tutoring class, from your math class." And I'm like, holy smokes, this hottie's calling me? I'm like, me? She's calling me? And at this time, I wore stuff like this. This is the Hamburg. This is the hat I used to call a fedora. I used to wear, when I was in middle school, I used to just wear a t-shirt and jeans. People used to call me Satchmo because I wore this big military jacket. It was green. But, you know, that came to an end when I went to high school because I watched it with a guy with a suit on. People respected him. So I, you know, went through with it, and I started wearing a suit when I was in high school. That's when I started wearing a suit. I started off and on. I would do it for picture day. And so from that process, I was friends with Ashley. We were talking, and this is going to come into the story of how I got a job. I got a part-time job for certain reasons. I'm not going to say why. You know, when you're young and you turn 16 and people start saying to you that you're being lazy and you're not doing anything with yourself, you need to do something, get out of the house, you know, do something with yourself. And at that time, I wasn't doing YouTube. So in that process, September of 2006, I got my part-time job. And so from that process, I started talking with people, and I made a few oopsies and a few mistakes. Everybody does it when they do their first-time job. Have a first job. I started talking with people, and this is how I met Hamza, straight up. I was walking around my job, and I came up to Hamza, and I said, "Have you ever seen the movie Major Payne?" And he's like, "No." And so, "You idiot!" Loudly, obnoxiously, I admit that. That was obnoxious of me to do that. And I stomped off. That day or the next day, Hamza gets it confused sometimes, or I get it confused. I was at Taco Bell, and he was listening into a conversation. Back in the day, this is how old I feel. I was at Taco Bell, and I started talking to people. I'm like, "Yeah, my parents let me have a MySpace." And I'm like, they're like, "Really?" And Hamza hears this, and he's like, "Man, I'll make you a MySpace." And I didn't realize this is the guy that I insulted. And so at that process, we were talking, and I said, "I want to do all these crazy graphics." And he was like, "We'll see what we can do, Tommy." And he gave me his number, and I started texting him stuff. I would text stuff in my room to him. Boop to poop, bootini, all this stuff. No, not bootini, but that was a word that we created down the road. But we started doing all this awesome stuff together, and my videography, me shooting videos kind of started before I was on YouTube. I had a camera. which I would actually shoot videos with my grandfather while we're driving the truck. Someday I gotta get that all copied onto a drive and get that onto YouTube so you guys can see me and my grandfather riding together and things that I did when I was younger, and just to show you some of the stuff that I've lived. I'd love to get some of my old home videos when I was a baby, and just all the things that I experienced as a child. The thing is that in that process, I was learning so many things, hanging out with so many people. And then my internship came up in that process, and I was told by my job coach that I couldn't take my hours from my real job that I got paid for and use that for my internship. What an excuse, folks. What an excuse. That's ridiculous. When you could take your hours from your job, your real job, and put it in your internship, that would be better. But no, they didn't want to do that. Stay positive. Yeah, Mr. Beard. Mr. Hairpiece. Yeah, he had a hairpiece. The guy literally had a hairpiece. I don't know if he did or not. But he took me into this first job. It was up in Montreat. And I come in the first day, and there's this lady there, heavy-set lady. I'm not going to say anything negative about her, but she was definitely a heavy-set person. And I was like, oh, this is going to be my boss. And next day I come in, and there's this beautiful blonde that is just amazing. Just beautiful. My God. Woo! Wow, she was top of the line. That would be Crystal. Crystal, I met her, and the first thing she does, she hands me a towel. She's like, go clean those tables. And I'm like, okay. And Crystal here, she probably could tell you some of the things I would do. But I hung out with her. I asked her for her phone number. I'm like, you got a boyfriend? And she's like, yeah, he's in the back. He's cleaning stuff. And I'm like, shoot, dang it. So in that process, I got to hang out with Crystal, and we did a lot of things. We hung out a little bit. We did some stuff, had a good time, and then shortly after that, it was around Halloween, we hung out, and then Crystal disappeared out of my life. I don't know what happened to her. She just completely, poof, disappeared. I didn't hear a word from her. And I was like, wow, this is insane. Like, I can't get a hold of Crystal, and I just moved on. I just kept doing stuff in my life, and then I got the experience of a lifetime. I get a call. I had done an interview for MTV's Made, and MTV shot an interview with me, and I scared the snot out of the reporter. And that process, and that whole time, I did an interview with her, and Garrett Hovendorf, the guy, he's the guy that worked at MTV's Made, which I heard MTV's Made doesn't exist anymore. The company, like the brand name doesn't exist anymore on MTV. It's gone now. Like, they don't do it, because I think my episode was one of those special little seeds. It was one of those special episodes that was like defined because it wasn't about a skateboarder. It wasn't about anything else. It was about a guy wanting to be a movie director, and that's what it was about. That's what was different about my MTV episode. So they said, we're going to send a guy down to film you, and they had me go to a therapist, see if I could experience the stress, and I did everything. I wanted to be on TV. It was my dream to be on television. National syndication TV. It was just one of my dreams to get my name out there, just to be who I was. And at the time, I wasn't Tommy. I was still kind of like TommyNC2010, but TommyNC2010 didn't pop in. I was just still Tommy. So in that process, I went to therapy. I went to the lesson. And then finally, they sent the cameraman. First day of filming, it was interesting. He was following me around, and people are yelling at the cameraman and stuff like that. People are saying, hey, Tommy, what's up? I really don't like it when people are like wanting to be on camera, and it's like, oh, hey, Tommy, how you doing? I'm your good buddy pal. In fact, when I would walk by that particular people, no one would say anything to me. Like, they would just, like, look at me funny and not say anything. But the moment I have a cameraman on my shoulder, they started talking to me. And, a bunch of stuff happened, and we had a big winter storm hit us, and he had to fly back. He got kidney stones. He had to go to the hospital. But after that, he flew back. And then after that process, I got a phone call from Garrett Hommendorf leaving me a message, and I still have that message to this day on my phone. And I got a message from Garrett, and he told me he wanted me to call him back, and he told me they greenlighted the episode, and for 6 months they were going to come down and film me and my day. Andrew Wonder was the guy that filmed my episode. He's actually a good friend of mine now. He's my adopted brother. My parents adopted him. Oh, God. Andrew filmed a lot of crazy things during my MTV episode. Andrew did a lot of good things for me. And during that whole time, it was amazing. We shot Oddball. Oddball was transformed. Oddball was supposed to be a comedy, actually, folks. You know that? We had some goofy stuff. In the midst of shooting, our principal had to make us shut the project down because of certain things that was in the movie. So it was my favorite principal. I wish it had been the other principal, but she shut us down, and we had to re-sketch everything, go to the drawing board, and we had to reshoot stuff at prom. And by the way, if you didn't notice, the guy that was originally Oddball, that was Steven. Yeah, he had some troubles that day, and he didn't show up for shoot. And that's when one of the most awesome actors ever fell in my lap. And it was literally, he fell in my lap. Ouch! He's a big guy. Give it up for Storm. Storm is a good friend of mine, and we're still friends to this day. We've had some troubles in the past, but Storm came up, and he became Oddball. And we shot Oddball, and we had some troubles along the way, but we got through with it, and it was one of the most amazing times of my life. And through that, MTV, Andrew left, and the cameras were gone after that, and so I became depressed. I was just like, what's next? Like, it's over. MTV's over. Like, what am I gonna do now? I just have this movie now, and what do I do? Where do I go? And I just plundered, and I was at that's how bad I am at words sometimes. I was at Huddle House with my mom, and I said, "What? I don't know what to do." I'm like, MTV's gone. Like, it's over. Like, she says, "I understand that, Tommy, but you need to do something with yourself. You need to find something, a hobby for you to do." And she started talking about YouTube, and she's like, "Why don't you get on YouTube?" And I'm like, "Well, I watch a few people on YouTube, like Cool Duder and the Nostalgia Critic, and those are the people I only watched on YouTube at the time." And so from that day forward, I started doing mini videos. And some of the original videos I started here on YouTube with were deleted. I actually deleted them, but then I restarted, and I started doing things. I started meeting people, and it was an interesting experience. And that's how I met the Boston Boys. That's how I first met Andrew and Milo and Alex and all sorts of people. And they helped me shoot everything. They helped me with titles, and we went through all sorts of things, and we just went through all sorts of paces. We finally kind of separated because of certain things were said and done, and I just did not agree. But I'm still friends with both of them. If anybody wants to know, Drew from the Boston team, I still talk to him. We're not publicly talking, really, but we're still friends. We still talk to this day. We've made up with each other. I got into another YouTuber called Chris Pirillo, and through that process, I met my friend Mark Hyder, and I met my friend Anthony, and through that I met Brendan. Brendan from he's a good, I'm not going to go into that, but I met Brendan, I met Anthony, and we all became one big happy family. And I met a guy named Jeremy. Jeremy was a good guy. He had another channel, and we were talking and hanging out. And through that process, I've been talking to a guy named James Worley, and I had a bunch of... I met a person named Gracie Gray. She, was awesome. I still talk to this day. I met a bunch of people over the years on Google+. I can't even tell you. Rich Munich from Chicago, which I'd love to go to Chicago, meet the Nostalgia Critic, maybe meet Rich Munich. Through that experience, I made a bunch of videos, and I was learning and growing, and because of certain people, I had to change my catchphrase to the inside fact. I was saying something else, and so... Sorry, I thought I heard something, but I had been doing all sorts of things, and I was just going back and forth, making videos, and around that time, further on, it was kind of a lull. I got a call. I shot a video. It was called "Her Eggs Made Me Feel Like Batman," and the person that was responsible for that title was James Worley. Yeah, he was the one that gave me that title. Thank you, James Worley, for giving me that title. Honestly, a lot of things had happened, and then after that happened, I had a lot of things happen to me. They were hard, and it got slow, it got depressing, and then I got a phone call I never expected to have. It wasn't a phone call, but it was an email, and it was a message from a gentleman from Tosh.o's studios. Said he wanted me to, Daniel Tosh wanted me to come out to interview me about my eggs video. And my father was nervous. He's the one that handles all the stuff for me to go and do stuff. And after we watched The Illusion, which I met him, I watched his episode of Tosh.o. I showed my parents that episode, and my father was more interested after that. Thank you to The Illusion for encouraging my father, even though you really didn't say anything to him. It was your form being on Tosh.o. It got my father to approve me going on MTV, on Comedy Central. It was you, man. It was you that got me on Tosh.o. And a lot of people say that, oh, I got Tommy on Tosh, but I really think, honestly, it was The Illusion. It did it. It got me on Tosh.o because of his image, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinions, but I went on Tosh. I was messaging Cool Duder, which I had been watching him for a while, a lot of his old videos, and I messaged him. I said, hey, dude, I'm coming out to LA. Do you want to meet up? And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And so I got to meet the Cinema Stalker. I got to meet his brother. I have a lot of friends, the Fluffy Gamer, Brendan, and all sorts of people I know out in LA from the internet. And just all sorts of crazy people. Well, I went out there and shot the Tosh.o episode. And, it was really fun. I got to hang out with Cool Duder and his buddies, and I had to leave, came back to North Carolina, and it was just different things, and a mixture of things, and I've made all sorts of videos, and I just love my life. And I kind of went through it quickly, but I didn't get detailed. But I wanted to tell you where I come from and who I am. But it was it's definitely been, you know the rest of the story. And I hope that you guys love this. Hope you guys can enjoy this video. And so as always, folks, this has been my life telling you it. And just want to say, as always, I'm TommyNC2010, and I'm keeping you on the inside. Fact. Subscribe, support, stay positive. Catch you later, folks.